Back again for another Resident Evil Village? I see you there. That's very nice of you. Welcome back. Why don't you pause the video, grab yourself a drink or some small snack, cause things are about to get explained in here, son. You come across the name Megamycete and Cadou quite a lot in Resident Evil Village, with the name Mold being the biggest culprit in Resident Evil 7.
Megamycete.
Good. Megamycete must be below. It's the Megamycete.
The Megamycete saved me from the pits of despair. It'll feed you to the Megamycete.
In today's video, I will explain what they are, what they do, and how they are related to each other. Hi folks, I'm R, your narrator. Hopefully you knew this video contains spoilers before clicking on it. If not, consider this your warning. If you're familiar with the world of Resident Evil, you'd know it's full of oversized deformed monsters and little mindless goons to keep you busy until you get to them. These monsters are usually the result of some big corporation's experimentations, which backfire and totally mess up the normal daily repetitive boring life. Or should I say, make it more fun. The trend continues in Resident Evil 7 and 8, or as it's supposed to be called, Village, where big corps have some sort of involvement in all of the mishaps. We had the connections messing up in Resident Evil 7, Oswald and Miranda in Resident Evil 8, who did all the messing up. You might ask, how'd they do the messing ups? Well, good question. The mess ups... Okay, I think I need to look up the dictionary and find a synonym for mess up. I said it many times. Okay, screw up. That's another word. Where were we? The screw-ups happen when these big organizations find science-fictional infectious viruses and funguses which give people supernatural powers and screw up with their minds. A fungus this time rather than the variety of viruses in previous installments, as the culprit behind making everyone in the village go crazy, making majority of them become lichens, while select few are gifted superhuman abilities, while usually it takes some toll on them. And funnily enough, none of them decides to become a superhero. They all tend to become supervillains. I know what I would do. If I could bend metal like Heisenberg, I would make houses for homeless, fix leaking pipes for a small fee, much cheaper than majority of plumbers. You know how much fortune I would build over time? And finally, stop dog breeding. You might ask how I would do that with my metal bending powers? Well, let's keep this video family friendly. Anyway, this fungus causes the problems in Resident Evil 8 and 7. The fungus that causes the problems in Resident Evil 8 and 7 is called Megamycete, which is the origin of the Megamycete mold and the Cadou parasite that Mother Miranda created in order to infect people faster. Now, let's dive a little deeper and explain these terms a little more. Let's have a little backstory to how Megamycete was found. Miranda, a grieving mother who lost her daughter Ava to Spanish flu in 1918 to 1920, presumably, from a village in Romania, presumably again, goes into a deep cave in order to end her own life. As she wanders deeper into the cave, she finds a massive heart-shaped fungal organism. Her curiosity increases and decides to touch the thing. When she touches it, she becomes overwhelmed with insight and knowledge. She understands that this thing absorbs the conscience of all dead things in order to grow larger. That is why after the lords die, Megamycete grows out of proportion. Miranda also concludes that if this thing has the conscience of all the dead things around it, it definitely has the conscience of a recently deceased daughter, Ava, whom she can bring to life by using a vessel, presumably by infecting the vessel with the fungus, so the child they conceive will have the conscience of Ava. It's a little rough around the edges here. I don't know exactly what Miranda intended to do with the vessels. I don't know how Ava would be reincarnated from adult vessels. Maybe she even wanted to kill the vessels and bring Ava out of the organism in the form of a baby. I don't know. I don't know. The mold gives Ava eternal life as well, alongside some other powers and some sort of control over the organism, presumably. At this point, you might be asking why I keep referring to it as a thing or an organism, while we already know it's called Megamycete. Well, I want to keep the suspense with the time of the story, as during that time, Miranda probably wasn't calling it Megamycete. Anyway, soon after, Miranda starts infecting other unlucky unaware people with this mold, which majority turn into vicious lichens, whom Miranda has control over. Over time, Miranda develops a parasite she calls Cadou to increase the spread and rate of infection. Later on, Miranda finds some people who tend to have control over their mutation and maintain their mental stability. Hence, they are the lords of the village: Heisenberg, Beneviento, Dimitrescu, and Moreau. Although these lords seem to be having good Cadou affinity, they are still not suitable to be a vessel for Ava. Miranda, presumably with the help of Oswell, calls this thing the Megamycete, a name they give to it, and study it further. Many years later, Miranda gets approached by an organization called the Connections, who are the culprit in Resident Evil 7, whom Mia worked for, who develop a fetus using the Megamycete, who becomes Evelyn. Although Evelyn was a huge success, in Miranda's eyes, she was still another failure, as she wasn't Ava, her daughter. That is when Miranda learns about Mia and Ethan Winters, and their daughter, Rose. She realizes that Rose would be the perfect candidate to be a vessel for Ava. Therefore, the Megamycete is the origin of it all. Megamycete is more like a hive mind organism that can recognize the presence and death of the vessels infected. Hence why the Megamycete grew larger after the majority of the infected people alongside the four lords died in the village. It was presumably getting back their energy or even wounded by their death. Miranda, although seems to be doing things consciously and according to her own selfish desires, is nothing but a powerful representative of the organism's desire to spread. That is why in the very beginning the Megamycete chose Miranda to be the head of the hierarchy. She was willing to do anything to get her daughter back. Therefore, the insight Miranda received after touching the Megamycete was nothing but lies fabricated by this organism to encourage Miranda to spread the disease further, hence making the Megamycete stronger. Even the lords were chosen specifically to further the cause. Lord Dimitrescu, most favorable one, had a hereditary blood disease requiring her to eat human flesh and ingest blood. This made many people become infected with the disease. Heisenberg performed human experiments on a large scale, further spreading the disease. Beneviento spread the disease in plants and her dolls, and Moreau, the least favorable one, was spreading the disease in water, presumably. That is why when Rose is reincarnated, Miranda starts losing her powers, and the Megamycete abandons her, because Rose was a much more powerful vessel to further spread Megamycete. Only the future beholds the mystery of what Rose will do then. As Miranda said, she is to grow up to control the masses. Miranda also mentions that Evelyn, the project of Connections, and Miranda had some sort of control over the Megamycete and spread it all the way to America. The Megamycete therefore might seem to be eradicated, but it's still very alive, living in the veins of Rose. She probably contains all of the Megamycete now, as when she was reincarnated, she presumably absorbed majority of Miranda's powers, Megamycete gifting it its powers and existence. That is why the agents were on edge when Rose got angry. They don't even know the full extent of what Rose is capable of. She can probably manipulate minds, grow a massive Megamycete on will, mutate into a huge monster, grow claws, control metal, and simply be invincible. Who knows? We don't really know the origin of Megamycete and how it came to be, but we know what it is and what it can do. We might learn more about its origin in subsequent Resident Evil installments. Maybe it would take us even into Middle Ages, where we might face dragons, witches, and wizards. The mold is the product extracted from the Megamycete. In Resident Evil 7, Blue Umbrella and Chris presumably didn't know the origin of it and just simply called it the mold. The mold is very similar to Megamycete, or in other words, it's the same. But as the lab reports come back, it shows that it wasn't identical to it 100%. Therefore, the mold has the capability of mutating itself. The mold was carried over to USA by Evelyn, a bioweapon the Connections had a hand in, who was created in the village in Romania. She was an experiment to be a vessel for Ava, having some sort of control over the Megamycete. But as I mentioned before, it was all part of the plan by the Megamycete itself to portray an illusion of choice to the vessels, who were to spread it further. Evelyn infected the Baker's family, Mia and Ethan, by the mold, giving them supernatural powers, while majority of the Baker family, including Mia, didn't have much control over their mutation and were mentally affected. The Baker family had forgotten who they are. They were hostile and had fast regenerative abilities. Mia, on the other hand, wasn't so badly infected to the point of mutating out of control. That's why she gets cured after receiving a dose of the cure. But Mia was still infected enough to seem possessed and become hostile, having regenerative abilities and superhuman strength. Ethan, on the other hand, turns out to actually die after Jack stomps on his head. He then awakens thanks to the powers of the mold. He is then reborn as a vessel. That is why Ethan can simply put back his cut-off arm, get hurt so many times without dying. The mold is also present in some of the plants in the Beneviento's house, where Donna Beneviento can release some pheromones to interact with the plants, in order to cause hallucinations. Now, the final byproduct of the Megamycete is Cadou, or Cadou parasite, which Mother Miranda specifically synthesized by taking mold samples from the Megamycete. This parasite made it much faster and easier for Miranda to spread the disease to find a suitable vessel for Ava. The Cadou parasite is held in a jar and looks like a fetus. It's not fully explained how this parasite would actually spread the disease, but we know it turned majority of its host into lichens, while some others, like the Lords, obtained specific powers, which again, Megamycete coordinated in order for them to spread the disease further. We can also learn that the Cadou parasite could lay eggs in some hosts, which turned out to become the vampire daughters of Lady D. In fact, these daughters were nothing but a collection of carnivorous flies, who mimic the shape of humans to easily trick their prey. Now, before you go and write in the comment section, "Oh my god, did he just say vampire daughters?" Let me go and write a comment correcting him that they're not vampires, illustrating how triggered I am. Look, I know they're not the traditional vampires, and they're flies. Similar to Lady D, she's got a disease, but they do resemble vampires, hence why I refer to them as vampires. True story. Someone did actually write a comment being triggered saying that they're not vampires. And it's not holy water that Ethan puts on himself to heal himself, which was a clear joke I made that it's holy water, performing miracles to heal Ethan. But I guess that joke flew over their head. You'd be surprised how many comments I get like this by people nitpicking and being genuinely angry and triggered because I make a mistake, say something that they don't agree with, and more. It's literally crazy, but at the same time, quite funny actually. Anyway, mold, Megamycete, and Cadou are all byproducts of Megamycete, which is the origin of it all. Although, they're all similar in ways of what they do, the way they deliver the disease might be different. That was what this mysterious organism, which has properties similar to a fungus, can do. I hope this video explained what these terms used in the games are, and if not, I hope you at least enjoyed watching it. For more videos, don't go anywhere. There are a lot more videos on this channel about different games, which might be fun to watch too. You can also subscribe and hit the notification bell not to miss out on the latest videos. It's been your host Dar. Till the next video, have a fantastic day.